Right then, hello everyone, and welcome to Formula Europe Round 5, and we're here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico. As you can see, we're still waiting for some of the drivers to appear, but while we wait, let's just talk about this league. This is the Silver Tier League, and it is one competitive boy, put it that way. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and like, and if you want to check out Formula Europe, we will be getting more videos from them, probably onto their main channel soon. So hopefully this will become a weekly thing, so go follow them, and if you want to check them out on Instagram, they're at Formula_Europe. So, onto this race. This is going to be an interesting one, let's put it that way, but let's check out last time out. So, last time out was Hungary, and the two Racing Points got a 1-2 finish. It was apparently an amazing race. Sadly, on their channel it didn't quite share out there, but I do have the results for you. So in first was Herze, who was continuing his streak of podiums. He managed to get the one just before that as well, but he won this race. Followed behind by Thomas de Koning, which we see here in the Racing Point again this week. They came second, and he's currently the championship leader, and it was a very, very good race for him because his championship rival in the Mercedes finished down in 5th. So, and we also had in 3rd place a first time, as we see around Hungaroring quite a fair few times, first time podium sitter Top Gunner in the Red Bull. So it'll be interesting to see how in this week's race they managed to do. But we'll go on to that in a little bit. So, in terms of the driver's standings at the moment, you've got Thomas de Koning, as we said, in the Racing Point, up in 1st position on 69 points. We have Geest in the Mercedes, his closest rival, who finished 5th in the last race, on 60, just 9 points behind. And then you have Herzeni, who finished 1st last week on 43, and he's 26 points behind his teammate. But sadly for him, this week he's not able to make it, so that's why we have Brian B14. So it'll be interesting to see how he does this week. Obviously that will massively impact the constructors as well, where Racing Point is flying ahead of everyone else in the field at the moment on 112 points. We then have Ferrari on 74 points, just 38 behind them, and Mercedes behind them on 60 points, 52 points behind the championship leaders. What is quite interesting there, though, is that Ferrari have only had 2 podiums in this entire current 4-race season. And it'll be interesting to see how they do this week, if they can catch up to the Racing Points. Just obviously Racing Point having one normal driver who's won the last race, currently out. So it'll be interesting to see how they managed to do. Now, in terms of Ferrari, they managed to nail the consistency, and I think if anyone's able to play, if anyone is playing this game, the thing I would always say is aim for consistency. If you can consistently score in a point and avoid any massive dramas, you're going to do quite well in the standings, and Ferrari are kind of proving that, so we'll see if they can continue on that. They've always had drivers in the points and getting good points as well, so it'll be interesting to see if they can continue that form. Well, I just ever so quickly copy the link and paste it into the chat so people can catch this race. So now we've got caught up with what happened last week and what's coming into this race, what we got. Let's talk about this race in particular, the Hermanos Rodriguez Autodromo. It was first held, the Mexican Grand Prix in general was first held in 1962 and was won by future world champion at the time, Jim Clark. It was off the calendar, however, from 1971 onwards to 1986, and the reason behind it was just because they just couldn't get the numbers in. Obviously, Pedro Rodriguez, who was the most well-known Mexican driver, probably until Sergio Perez, had died just before 1971, and so sadly that was probably the reason why it was cancelled. They just couldn't drum up with enough interest. It came back in 1986 for another 6 years until 1992, won twice by Nigel Mansell in those years, and then again it was cancelled. But interestingly enough, it was cancelled that year because in Mexico City the air pollution was so high they had to bring in emergency measures and just couldn't hold a Grand Prix. And then as soon as obviously we had the likes of Sergio Perez drum up support for for Formula One inside of Mexico. We knew we might be getting it back on the calendar, and it was announced in 2014 that it'd be joining back again in the calendar in 2015. Which, of course, at that point, we're into the hybrid era. It was won by a Mercedes, but not Hamilton, Nico Rosberg. Unlike last year, where Hamilton won. Well, I'll say last year, actually. It was the last race. It was 2019. Of course, 2020, we couldn't have the race, but we're having it now. So, yeah, it was won by Hamilton. Vettel came second and Bottas in third. But this is a very good track for Red Bull, which is the next point I want to go on to. The reason why it's a very good track for the Red Bull. This track massively impacts the aero. And the reason why I say that is because of the altitude that you'll find in this circuit. Because it's so high up, it means that the downforce is just lacking. The air's thinner, and so you just can't get enough as much downforce into the cars, and that just means that it is vital for these drivers today that they get their setups right, and they've got a decision to make because rain could happen here, and if they find that rain is going to be here, they've got a decision to say, okay, do I want extra downforce so that way I can maneuver around the corners in the wet and I can keep the car stable? But the issue there that they find is, you know, will they just wreck their tyres? If they've got so much downforce on the car, as soon as it gets back into the dry, it's just going to wreck their tyres. So it's going to be a really interesting race if we do have dynamic weather tonight, should say. And again, rain is possible here. We had it in 2019, which is why there was a mixed up, I'd say, podium without a Red Bull. But again, the higher temperatures and the high downforce plays havoc with the tyres, just the same as Hungary. It'll be a real slog throughout this race to make sure that your tyres are in temperature. So it will be really interesting to see how some of the top drivers manage to manoeuvre their ways around. So as we head into qualifying now, let's have a think about what this qualifying pole lap might be. The pole lap from Charles Leclerc in 2019 was a 1:15.0. Now, these cars are a lot faster than 2019. Can we actually see these guys go faster than Charles Leclerc was? I don't know, I think we'll have to find out. Obviously, on this game, the time trial best time is a 1:11.8. Will any of these guys get close to that? It'll be amazing to see, just to see what this lap ends up looking like if it's a 1:11. Right, so I'm just as people start heading out, as we see it now for Romeo and McLaren heading out, I'm going to get this ready so that we can make sure we want to see exactly what people are on. So I'm going to go for fitted so we can see exactly what people are going out on. We want the telemetry, we want some lap data, and we want a full track map. Right, let's go like that, and let's see who's out on the track. As we see, the current leader of the whole championship, Thomas, go out on his outlap. He's on a set of softs, which suggests to me that he's just trying to get a feel for the track. The interesting thing on this track is that it is, as I said, it's very hard on tyres, but it might mean that this is going to be a two-stop race. Very, very brave, honestly. Difficulty level 1000 might go for a one-stopper, going from mediums onto hards. But I think the best thing for these guys is going to be starting either on a medium or a soft and going for a two-stop strategy. The softs usually last around, I'd say, 11 laps. You're going into puncture territory if you're going anything over 12 to 13. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys make their strategies last. Obviously, safety cars are going to massively impact that, but we will soon find out. As we watch him go around, he's about to start his lap as he goes through the stadium section at the moment. We are going to switch cameras to the onboard pit cam and see what he does. We want a really nice exit out of this corner to make sure, as you see some people backing up into the stadium section there, want to make sure you get the best run through this huge straight. If you mess up that last corner, you're going to massively impact how you end up losing positions, I'd say, down here. To go into the first corner, let's see how he does. He gets a nice wide angle to go into, locks up a little bit on the right hand side, but he's doing alright. He's gone straight over there. You've got to be careful on this. It is strict corner cutting. They may invalidate a fair few laps, and we might get a fair few penalties around here. So let's see how he does going into corner 4 and 5. He locks up again a little bit more. He's got a nice line through there as he goes towards the hairpin of turn 6. It's a nice angle going through there, and he's going now down into the very, very fast S's of Sector 2. And I'd say this is one to look out for, guys, here. Is a person's run through here makes a massive difference on whether or not, we see Snedder retire there, whether or not they manage to get a passing opportunity at the end of this straight here to go into the stadium section. He has got someone ahead of him, but I doubt it's going to be impacting his downforce at this moment in time. But we go around the last couple of corners. He's gone a bit slower. It is a 1:07 at the moment. We'll see how he does across the line. The line is quite close up to him, so it's going to be, oh, it's a bit of a moment there, but a 1:13.8 is not bad at all. He may be a bit upset about the moment he had at the end there, because he caught a bit too much corner and it sent him a bit spinning, but he managed to save it luckily. So it'll be interesting to see who can get close to that, as we see the Ferrari of NSR get a 1:15.5 on a medium, which is not bad. So let's see who's next to get a lap in, as we see Geest in the Mercedes. He's the championship rival to Thomas. Let's see how he can do as he goes around his second to last corner. Oh, he's got a bit of a wobble on there as we go to the last corner. Is he going to do the same thing that... Oh, he's cutting it there a little bit. Let's see, 1:14.2. He's a fair bit behind. It's about 5/10 of a second behind him there. It will be interesting to see the battle between these two up front. Obviously, the difference between them in the standings is only 9 points. That's not much to try and make up. Obviously, it's a bit of a longer season. It's about, I think it's 10 races this season is, so he's got a fair few races to go. But it will be interesting to see if he can pick up his form. He's finished 5th in the last 2 races, getting 10 points in both, whereas Thomas de Kung has finished on the podium in both of them. So he's been gaining points there, but can he just get it back? I don't know if he's going for a second run here. His fuel is running out a little bit, so we'll switch to someone else as we know who's out. So we've got the AlphaTauri here of Ferry. He's got a McLaren right in front of him. He's not going exactly fast, so I don't think this is going to be a competitive lap. So we move over towards another Red Bull, who is obviously Mark Paul, Top Gunner, who we see at the bottom there, who is, I believe, currently out. Oh, as we see, I've just missed it there, that McLaren, who was obviously ahead of the AlphaTauri, he went super quick there with the 1:14.1. He's obviously going to be challenging the likes of Geest and Thomas de Kung during the race. We'll see how that unfolds. But we're going to go down to Top Gunner, who's on his flying lap. This guy finished 3rd in the last race, so it'll be interesting to see how he qualifies. Whether he's a bit of a climber during the race, or whether he's a fast boy on the qualifying, as we see the likes of George and Hamilton are. It'll be interesting to find out. This is very new to me. It's the first time I'm seeing any of these drivers, so you're going to discover it alongside me. But it'll be really interesting. So, as we see him going round to the last section, well, this is a bit difficult. He's obviously pulled out of his lap here because he's going a bit slower. We have got a couple of comments which I'm going to check out just to see what you guys are saying about this race. So we've got some people saying hello. Hi guys, I'm very grateful for you all to be there. And sadly, I only speak English. I would say that to the second person who has commented. But it is really nice to have people alongside us here going for this race. It's great that you guys are interacting with this, because if I'm honest, I miss F1. I know it's coming back this weekend, and I'm loving the liveries reveals at the moment. But I do miss just seeing cars out on track, and you know what, you can't get enough of it. I don't want the actual teams to do a race every weekend, but if this can make up for it, I'll be happy. As we see Top Gunner go 4/10 faster in the first sector. Let's see how he does on his second lap. This is with lap all tyres as well, and we know this track is not kind on your tyres, so this could be interesting. As Simply Shedner has now left the session, I do hope he can make it back for the race, because obviously coming out in qualifying like that is not always the end of your race. You can get back from it, but we'll soon see. As he goes fastest again in the second sector, this is a fast time, guys. This could be really interesting. As we see him go around this stadium section, it's a difficult part of the track, a bit twisty, and he's got a massive incident. Oh, that's a shame. He just got too much corner going into that section there. As I said, it was twisty. He's obviously got a lot of downforce on. He just caught the tip of the corner. As we see the AlphaTauri go through here, and he just got too much of the curb, which meant that he spun. That was going to be a really fast lap from Top Gunner. I do have to say that is a massive shame. As we see Reset to Track, that's an amazing name for this. Let's see how he does. I believe that was probably the request from someone. We'll see how it all goes to see what happens. We've been requested here to see how this guy does his lap. Let's see how it goes as he goes into the first corner. As we see that Jesse has gone first. Wow, that is a fast time from Jesse. It's a 1:13.3. How have I missed that? Right, okay, I do apologise to the person who's asked for this person, but we are going to watch Thomas de Kung as he's going out for his another fastest lap to see if he can challenge the likes of Jesse. That was an amazing lap from Jesse. I wish we'd caught that. Anyway, let's see if Thomas de Kung, he's not going fastest now, I don't think. I do apologise. I've just seen the messages on this stream that Shender, for anyone who doesn't know, who's obviously left the session. It is a shame. His controller's disconnected, which is the reason why he had to leave the session, and we're waiting to hopefully get an invite back to him. I can't sadly do it, but hopefully someone can get one back. As we see, I believe this is going to be Thomas de Kung's second attempt, as he's gone slower again. Guys, I've missed someone going even faster. I was hoping we could see if Thomas de Kung could get back at Jesse, and the person who we were watching just before that, Reset to Track, again amazing name, has done an amazing lap to match his name, again going just a tenth faster than Thomas de Kung. We have got a fight on our hand, ladies and gentlemen. We have got the top 5. Oh, as we see Thomas de Kung spinning. He's lucky not to have completely wrecked his car there, but at least he's managed to save it. He might hopefully be able to get back and out again. So we've got an amazing battle here, guys. So from 5th up, they're all within the 1:14.1 and onwards. It's only less than a second between the lot of them. It is going to be incredible. I'll include CRX Mars in that. But we'll see, as people are now getting out of the way. We've just seen Reggae obviously going on his fastest lap. He is going a tenth faster than his fastest lap. Let's see how he can manage it out. We know that Reset to Track is out on a set of new tyres. Hopefully we can catch that after this one, but we'll soon see. This is going to be an amazing battle, hopefully, for pole. Hopefully we can get some good drama right until the end, and you know, we don't have a lot of people going out like we had Top Gunner go out, but this could be really interesting. He's gone 2 tenths, should say, up going into the last sector. Let's see how we can do. That would put him into the fight ahead of Geist. Can he get ahead of Thomas de Kung? Maybe even Reset to Track. He's gone very, very close to the wall there. He's gone 4 tenths faster, and it's even faster. That's a brilliant lap. Right, let's get to Reset to Track. He's gone into the pit. Okay. CRX Mars is out. He's 3 seconds slower. We're going to look out, because I know Jesse is on his out lap, but we'll see if we can catch someone else's final bits first. As we watch CRX Gods. It's an amazing spelling of that. Let's go. Okay, so he's 5 tenths up on his fastest. That's going to put him into the mix with CRX Mars as well. So let's see if he can make up even more time. This track, obviously, as it gets later in the session, develops. It's like a night track, really. It's going to get a load faster as it gets into the lap dying moments. As he goes a 1:14.0. Guys, we have a massive fight on our hands. This is going to be brilliant. Let's see. Right, we're going to go up to Jesse. We know he's on his out lap. Let's see. He's going into the assist of sector 2 here. He's probably going down through sector. This is going to be, yeah. Okay, so this is corner 10, 11, going down to 12. I think this is going to be a really good passing opportunity coming in the race, because if you nail those S's, you can really leapfrog someone who's just out of shape a little bit. So let's see. He's going to line up his lap. He has got 5 minutes left, so he should hopefully be able to get this one done and then another. As we see, both Reset to Track and Thomas has gone out for an out lap, so we can catch the after this one. So we're going to ride on board for the entire of this lap and see how he does. The pole sitter currently, can he go any faster? So it's a 1:13.3 we're aiming to beat. He goes into the first corner. He's getting a nice clean line there. Doesn't go too far over to the left. He's cut a bit there, but he's managed to get away with it without getting the wrath of the gods, or I'd say the FIA, going across in there and just going, no, your lap's not going. Right, let's see. Going into this section here, yes, and then to the hairpin. He's got a nice line there, but let's see, is he going to go any faster? I missed how if he's going to be any faster in his first sector, but we'll soon see. He's going to get through sector 2 soon. Reset to track is out again, so is Thomas de Kung, so they're both going to be going for... Oh, he's invalidated his lap. Did say it, guys. So we're going to go to Thomas de Kung as he... reset to track as he starts his next lap. I do have to say, Thomas de Kung must be very close to him, which could... Oh, he's ahead of him. He's got enough space, luckily. So yes, Jesse, I did say it's one of those things that you really have to be careful on this track, that your strict corner cutting is not going to bite you back, because if you're going to be on an amazing run like that, luckily you've gone out with enough time, but if it's your last run, which we might see soon, it could end up being very detrimental to whether or not you get pole. So as we watch reset to track, let's see how he can do. I didn't again catch first sector whether it's any faster. If anyone in the comments can let me know, that would be brilliant. So let's see. As we see reset to track, he's going round this, he's got a very tight line to those curves, pushing the limits of the track as much as possible. He's got a nice line there, he's just gone too far. That was unlucky. He was up by two tenths on his time. Obviously, Thomas de Kung has also aborted his lap. It is a bit difficult to watch these guys do such an amazing job, and then at the last second ruin his lap. Is he going to go for another one? He is. Okay, so Thomas de Kung, unlike reset to track and Jesse, does not pit after trying his first lap, but this is where he got his fastest lap the second time round, is when he did hit on the second lap on his first set of tyres. So he's locked up there. He has done the same thing as everyone else. You can almost cheese it, and he's just got too much. Oh, and last week's second place, the current championship leader, is out of qualifying. Luckily, he's currently in 4th. That could be good for him, because he could still end up finishing there, but that is unlucky. Wow. That was a big spin. Again, just catching too much of the corner, just like Top Gunner did. Going into that last sector, it was just unlucky, but we'll soon find out how these guys end up pulling out. There's only one person here who's still on the track in terms of available to do a lap and hasn't done a time yet, so we're waiting to see where Gernman 25 fits into all this, but it will be really interesting to see. So at the moment, Robin Wes is currently the only person out on track who's doing a lap, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. He is in that little gap and he's just invalidated his time. That was unlucky. We'll see how he can how much faster he was going. He was going 4 seconds faster already. I didn't realise. So yeah, we're waiting to find out. Okay, so Ederman I think is simply Shedner, just on his second account. So I think that may be him joining up again, but we'll soon find out. Right, let's see, is anyone else on track? So we've just seen that Raggy's gone out on track. Okay, we'll watch Mark Paul as he starts his lap, but when Raggy starts his actual lap, we'll switch back over. So Mark Paul, this is his first proper run. He, lucky not to trigger the track limits there, so we'll soon find out. As Mark Paul, he almost spins there, he goes a bit too wide there into that corner, but we will soon see. I don't know what assist these guys are running, or if they're on controller or if they're on wheels, so it'll be interesting to see that too at some point. But here we go. Gets a nice line through the S's, and he just gets the right line there. Again, doesn't clip the track limits like the other guys did. As we go into sector 3 now, he is 8 tenths up on his fastest time. That's a good time, but it's still only a 14.2 at the moment if it stays like this. But he may go faster through the stadium section. I keep wanting to say castle section just because of Baku. But anyway, last corner, he keeps going. He's got a little bit too much traction there. Is he going to go a 1:13.7? What a amazing lap, guys. This is going to be an amazing race if these guys are this close to each other. Look at that. Mark Paul a 1:13.75 and reset to track a 1:13.74. Right, we're going to watch Raggy, who had literally just passed Mark Paul there. See if he can get... Oh, That's unlucky. Again, guys, this is just how it can work. If you end up... Yeah, if you end up just clipping the track limits on your last run, that is him out of the way for pole. Let's see if Reset to Track can do something instead. I think this is the next person up on the line. I think it might be CRX Mars who's there, as well as Geese. Let's see. Yeah, Geese is the furthest ahead here. Map. But it'll be Geese, then CRX Goods, and then CRX Mars, I believe. Going into Sector 3 now, he's a 10th up. It's not going to be enough for pole, really, but it may be enough just to leapfrog Thomas de Kung. And that is... German. Wow. Guys, these guys are so fast. It's ridiculous. They're so close to each other. If we see Geese go ahead, he goes second. Let's see if CRX can do any better. CRX stays where he is. As we see NX Reset to Track. Right, Reset to Track. You're the last person who may get pole. Can he topple Jesse? No, he can't. Mark Paul is out, but he's just doing his best lap. Jesse is improving. That is impressive. And Jesse gets pole position. Wow, guys. This is going to be one hell of a race. The top... the top 9, 10 just about is in. 11, the top 11 is within a second of each other. This is going to be a crazy race. I've never seen, the only time I've ever seen them that close is F1 Esports. If these guys are battling with each other through the entire thing, this could be an incredible, incredible race. We'll wait and see. Boy, this is incredible. Right, so let's get back to what they may end up doing. So as we see there, Jesse, Geest, Raggy, Gernman, Mark Paul, Reset to Track, Thomas de Kung. Oh, this is just going to be a crazy race. Obviously for Geest, it's vitally important that he's that far ahead of Thomas de Kung, who is, as I said, 9 seconds ahead of him, 9 points ahead of him in the championship. Could we see that? I haven't even told you about who the potential tyre strategies really this race. As we know, I don't know, well, if you're racing at the moment and watching this, you may know exactly what the weather is going to be like in this race. We could have rain halfway through, we might not. Soft tyres surely suggest that these guys are obviously just going, we're going to go the fastest as possible. There's no one who's starting on mediums, which is vital if they're trying to do a different strategy, but we don't know who might go on to hards, who might go on to softs, who might go on to mediums, or who might even go on to softs second. We don't know how any of the strategy is going to play out. All I know is this is going to be an incredible race. It's 36 laps, so it's a quite a fair while. So I hope you stick with it, stick with me for all of it. As we know, Thomas de Kung, he's been on 3 of the past 4 podiums in the past, you know, in this series so far, which is an incredible sort of like run of form. He's had 1 win and 2 seconds. Can he follow this back? He is starting, I think it's down in 7th, 6th. You know, that's going to be a big challenge for him with so many fast players alongside him. We don't know how it's going to turn out, really. You know, the Ferraris, will they both finish in the points? We just don't know. The only thing I would say, if anyone is watching who is racing at the moment, try and stay as away from danger as possible, because if you do, you'll most likely finish in the points, because just avoiding danger is the easiest, I'd say, way of getting points. You can be quite slow. I used to be quite slow in league racing, and yet still managed to, as we see, they're on the formation lap here, and still managed to get a fair decent amount of points. So the important thing here is, to anyone who's new to the game, anyone who doesn't really play the game, or maybe just not played league racing very often, it's just like in the actual races. This formation lap is vital for getting your tyres up to temperature. Obviously round here, it's a vital way of managing your tyres. You might finish this formation lap and your tyres be overheated. You don't want to do that, because if you are, that's where your traction goes. If you watch all these famous YouTubers playing F1 and stuff, Tim McMahon, for example, he consistently has bad launches on his thing. And I'm not saying this is the reason why, because I think he does do, he knows a lot more than I do. But one of the reasons why you can have a bad launch is if your tyres aren't up to temperature, especially if your brakes aren't up to temperature. No matter your reaction speed, if you just can't get the traction, you won't go anywhere. So that's what these guys are going to be doing now. Be interesting to see how they do. I've never done tyre warm-up around Mexico personally myself, so I don't know what temperature they want to be getting it to. It looks like at the moment there is no rain, but we don't know how that's going to happen throughout the entire race. Just to mention as well, there are some penalties for people. Simply Shedner, and I don't know if he's a different racer in this one or if it's someone else, but Simply Shedner has a 5-second penalty for moving under braking, and he's in the Williams, whereas CRX Mars, who is in 12th and was one of those guys who was quite fast, obviously he's been disqualified from this, don't understand why, but he's been disqualified from this. He's got a 10-second time penalty for brake checking apparently in the last race, and they're going to be added to the end of this race, so it'll be interesting to see where people finish. As we see them line up now, they aren't too spread out, so Jesse won't be sitting there for too long, but this is going to be one hell of a race. It'll be great next year to see the new liveries out there, to watch that, but as we watch a McLaren 1-3, can they catch up in the constructors? This is going to be an epic race, guys. You do not want to go anywhere. As we know, in real life, the fastest lap was a 1:19.2. Let's see as we go to the 5 lights now to see if we can go, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a long wait, and it's out. Let's see how these guys do. We're going to change camera type, and we're going to go back towards probably the guys who are making room. We've got NX. So Reset Track has had an amazing start. He's up to 3rd already, but how he's getting punted out of the way from Mark Paul. Let's see, can they remain safe through this first sector? It's tight and twisty. We see the Red Bull's been knocked off. Mark Paul has lost a few places there, and that's a big one from Raggy. What happened there? They just cut across each other. So we've got Reset's Track into 3rd place. Jesse in 2nd. Geese has got the jump on Jesse, and he, the championship challenger to Thomas de Kanung, who is in 7th, is now leading the race. This could be amazing. Let's go on board with the top 2 at the moment. They aren't probably going to have. They are going to have DRS at the moment. They aren't probably going to be making any moves at this time. As we see, there is a yellow flag, but I think it's been resumed. CRX Mars has gone straight down to the back. Top Gunner's back up to 13th. So those two have almost swapped places. So I don't know what happened there. It'll be interesting to find out post-race. But as we see, the top 2 are really pushing each other. Jesse was almost in his diffuser, then pushing him round that sector. That is the issue with such slow corners. Raggy has retired from the race. Can we see what happened there? Oh, I think he might have just spun out, guys. I'm unsure what happened there. Geist, he's still in 1st, right? It's just had a bit of an issue there. Sometimes this game does that. It will just have an issue. There we go. Oh no, it's just even worse. But yeah, they're in 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Okay, so let's follow on with Reset to Track. We know that he is in 3rd. That was a big moment there from Jesse as we see the first real time penalties of the race. That was ignoring yellow flags as we see that there's people in the pits. Anyway, let's carry on and let's wait until this does what it needs to and resets itself, because Jesse is really pushing Geist around this track now. He's trying. Let's see, can he get a good line through these S's, and can he just catch up to him that little bit more? He's only 3/10 off him now. We'll have a look through the leaderboard. So we've got Thomas de Kung, who is right behind him as well, right behind his man, should I say, as well. As we go into the stadium section, can he just get anywhere? He's just, oh, he's nudged him there. Geese had a very wide line through that corner then, and obviously Jesse just saw some kind of gap forming. To be honest, it was never going to be good enough. It was never going to be big enough, should say, to fit him through. Geese was always going to come across. If I was Jesse, I'd have just backed off a little bit, maybe tried to switch through on the next corner, tried to get the inside line again. But as we see, this is how Slipstream affects this straight. He did use a fair bit of ERSs. We've got Geese having massive moments up front. His downforce is just not quite right on that car, as we see CRX Good and Brian also having big issues in terms of getting penalties on the third lap. That's pretty hard going, to be honest. Right, we're just gonna we've got caught up in the massive yeah, the massive goings on in the first couple of laps, and we're gonna watch the we're going to have a look at the tyres, because that'll be interesting to see how things do. Mark Paul's also got a 3-second time penalty. I have a feeling, to be honest guys, they're going to have a fair amount of time penalties this this race. Oh, as again, he's pushing him round that hairpin in the stadium section. He's got a massive bit of an oversteer there. He just almost spins the car. Let's see, can he just catch back up to him on this straight? It's a 5/10 gap going down this straight. He has got a better exit. He's gaining on him quite a lot. He's using his overtake button. He's got his DRS open. Can he do it? He's going for the lead. Jesse has gone for the lead. We're going to switch over to Geist as we see him just... Yeah, he's not even going to be able to mount an attack here. But maybe... Is there a second DRS zone, sector detection zone? I don't think there is. That means Jesse's going to have DRS to also defend that position. Right, as we're going to follow on down towards these guys in the Renault and the Haas of Gamer James and Gods, as we see him challenging here. He's got DRS, he just pushes him around. Gamer James is either very slow around those corners, or CRX Gods is just missing his braking point ever so slightly. He's just having to push him round. Obviously, this is the last of the soft runners in the top 10. Everyone behind him who, you know, it's not exactly far away, are on the mediums, which could be an interesting tactic. As we see later on through the race, they will have, if they go on to softs, they'll have 2 sets of softs to use in the last 2 sort of like bits of the race, and they'll be so much faster than the mediums in the last section. So Sierra Scoot is getting frustrated here. We're going to watch our current championship leader as he's on the other Red Bull rather than Top Gunner, as Mark Paul, who's only 3/10 ahead of him. Can he get him on this straight? Mark Paul doesn't have DRS, I don't believe, but he's just not able to gain on him. He's obviously got such a better exit. So I think Thomas de Kong just I think thinks better of it, as we see reset to track. Did not reset to track fast enough. That's a joke. Please don't reset to track in league races. But he got a time penalty for cutting for track limits. I'm guessing cutting corners, to be honest. So we said Gernman is obviously putting pressure. This battle of the 3 here. Jesse has just clocked out front. He's a 1.5 seconds in front. So it'll be interesting to see how these 3 battle on. See if they can get, you know, the top steps of the podium. Well, second top step of the podium, should I say. Obviously, Gernman's now got a 3-second time penalty as well. So at the moment, Geese is looking the best, because even if he gets overtaken, you know, a 3-second gap is quite a lot to make up. So we'll keep an eye on these 3, as we see also Mark Paul's now joined. He was a 1 second behind before, as of course that also brings Thomas de Kong. So this is now a battle for 2nd that goes all the way down to 6th place. As we go on to lap 6, we are nearing the point of needing to pit in the next 4 laps. I'd say you're over halfway on your tyres. They're not going to feel great at this point. Be interesting to think about the tyre temperatures and see how they're doing. So we've got a lot of people going backwards at the bottom. I do believe that's because Shedner is on AI, as well as the rest of the guys there. However, CRX Marks, I know he's racing. He's just gone on to a different strategy. I think he's hoping for a safety car. As we see Mark Paul get out of the way there, I believe that he's probably just trying to get out of the slipstream. But we'll soon see, as the top 2 there, Gernman and Geist, are just battling as if he's right in his diffuser. Look how close he is there. And Jesse has just clocked out. I'm unsure whether Geist has got an issue here, or whether Jesse is just that much faster. But the thing is, Geist got 2nd in qualifying. He is a fast driver, and yet he seems to be almost keeping these guys up. I know slipstream is a massive thing here, as we see Gods going backwards. What happened there is he has spun. Right, okay, so that takes him out of the equation, but we're still into the top 6 here of this battle for 2nd, which is ridiculous to say. It is like the F1 Esports, as Gamer James gets a 3-second time penalty. So, and we're on to lap 7. Gernman has got DRS, and he's not using his overtake. He's used a lot of overtake already, but he has gotten past. We're going to go down to Geist. Let's see if this happens the same way as whether Gernman just manages to get straight off. He hasn't just quite yet. To be honest, Geese isn't going to have DRS2 defend himself, which is a bit of a shame for him, but hopefully if he can keep in with that second gap, he can use it on the next lap. And we know how powerful DRS and Slipstream is around this track, which is maybe why they were so close to him, but he is struggling, I think, for traction. He may have taken too much out of these tyres, because he's just sliding. He's already 7/10 behind German. I think, honestly, as we see, Reset to Track is now falling a second and a half behind. What happened here? Mark Paul as well. Right. Something big happened there. It was we were watching Geest fall back, because now that battle for second has just completely gone. Reset to Track has lost a lot of time here. Has he got damage? We'll soon see if he pits here. If he's got damage, that would be probably the best explanation, because both him and Mark Paul just lost a load of time. He's not gone into the pit, so he doesn't have damage here. Maybe it's just the tyres. I did say, guys, these tyres are just going to lose so much time. As we see Mark Paul's gone into the pits, maybe he had damage, maybe there was an incident there. Right. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out in comparison to all this. He's trying to warm up his tyres, so I think he probably spun. Thomas de Koong's got a 3-second time penalty there for, I believe it was probably multiple warnings for track limits. But we've now got a battle for third back again. I was worried there that we were going to completely lose, as we see Brian B get another 3-second time, but I was worried we were going to completely lose the battle we were having out front, but we haven't, luckily. However, Geest, he's now worried. I did say a couple of laps ago that Geest looked in the best position. It sounded like he was going to be in the best position because everyone around him had 3-second time penalties, but he just seems to be losing time. As we see Gunnerman get another 3-second time penalty. Guys swallowing up these time penalties as if they're sweets. It's ridiculous. Right, so Reset Track is fallen behind a fair bit here. He's only 8/10. He's still in the second, so he will get. Oh, he's sliding everywhere. These tyres are not working for him. He will get. Yeah, he's got a pit now. I was going to say, so we're going to see these guys pitting soon. It's just not working from there. Losing so much time and so much traction. Did say usually around lap 11 if you want to go onto medium, so I have a feeling these guys are going to be going onto softs again. He's gone onto mediums because I'd honestly say I wouldn't say it's a wrong decision, it's a weird decision, purely because the suggestion on this track usually is to go soft, hard if you're going to pit on lap 10. He's pitted even earlier than that, so I suppose going on to medium again is probably going to be the best thing. The hards probably would last if he was to go at the end of the race, because obviously less fuel means less pressure on the tyres, so hopefully that will mean that they can wear a lot less. But he's decided to go onto the medium resets track has. And so has Mark Paul. So these guys are probably going to be still gaining time. The crossover is still a good while ago. As I haven't missed the overtake there, I just haven't noticed it because Geest again and Thomas de Koong, they're losing time everywhere. I do want to kind of check in on Jesse as we see that no one's kind of close to each other. Obviously Brian is a little bit behind. We'll go to him first behind Gamer James as we go down this straight. As we see Gernman's gone into the pits, let's see if he comes out onto any soft tyres. Gamer James has gone into the pit, so everyone is now pitting, speeding the pit lane for Gamer James as well. That is a shame. So Gernman has gone onto soft tyres. That would be what I would have chosen to do, to be honest. Right, I want to watch Jesse here because it'd be interesting to see how much life he's taken out of the tyres. He's sliding all over the place as well. Everyone is now getting penalties. That's Mark Paul and then Reset to Track are all getting penalties here. But Reset to Track has now overtaken. Oh, the big fight going on. I am going to switch back to these guys here. There's a big incident there. I think. Oh, it's because Gum was coming out the pits, wasn't he? Well, he's on soft tyres. Now he was ahead of Reset to Track there. That just shows exactly the difference, I would say, in the medium tyres compared to the softs that are old. Because Reset to Track was behind Gurman, quite a fair bit behind him, and then because he pitted a little bit earlier onto medium tyres, he has leapfrogged him, he's overcut him. But Gurman is on soft tyres now, and they've now warmed up. Can he overtake them again? They're probably going to end up pitting at a very similar time onto mediums again, but we'll soon see, as we see Simply Schneider has gone ahead. Right, so we now have a new leader of the Grand Prix, who's obviously a back marker because Jesse is pitting, but we'll soon see. So where's Jesse going to come out? Jesse's on medium tyres. I think he's on his way out of the pits now. He is. He's rejoined the track, and he is ahead of Thomas de Kung, who's now in the pits as well. So he's quite a fair bit ahead of these guys. Thomas de Kung's being overtaken by German. Again, that's another medium runner who is almost leapfrogged the person going straight onto softs because he waited another lap. This is an interesting strategy here, guys. So we now have a de facto leader of Jesse in 5th, followed by German. Thomas de Kung has managed to come up from 7th, which he's currently still in, but 7th to 2nd, as we see Jesse's overtaken Ferry. We're going to watch these guys behind them, because of course Geist, who started 2nd, is now 5th, 6th. He's not going to be happy about that. He will not be happy, especially with the fact that his championship rival, who's currently leading the championship, is in de facto 3rd place. It's interesting. So, these guys are now all really chasing down each other, hoping that in this middle stint they can start to overtake each other. And if they get ahead, they can then start to pit better, and they can react to each other's strategies a little bit easier. As we watch Reset Track start his 12th lap, there's a second gap between everyone apart from Mark Paul, Gamer James, so we'll go down to him and we'll see how that's going. As we see, Robin Wes has now pitted. It's a bit of a lull in the action for this very moment. It'll be interesting to see how everyone who's now pitted ends up doing in about 6 laps when their tyres start going. We saw in that section, that first stint, their tyres just suddenly drop off, and it was as if they were in Turkey. They were skating on ice. It's crazy. We know that this track is very hard on the tyres. We know that these guys are going to be really watching their tyre temperatures. But that lap 8, I think it was, that the first tyres started going off, and you could tell because there was incidents then happening. It's big. So, while we have a little bit of a lull, let's have a quick check at the detail penalties. Here we go on the penalties. So obviously Mark Paul here is chasing down, as we see CRX Gulls has retired from the session. Let's see if we come across him here. Retired into the castle section, and we see a virtual safety car. So I'm going to say on Robin West, because he will see the wreckage of a CRX God's car. Yeah, he's just spun straight into the wall. That was a big one. So this kind of neutralises the race a little bit. But yeah, so penalties. Geese is only on 3, which is still good, because obviously the rest of them ahead of them. If he can keep himself, you know, on a level playing field here, in terms of not making sure he doesn't get any more penalties, he's got a good chance of finishing above both of Gernman and Geist if they can all catch up to each other. As we see, Reset Track is really going quite slowly here. He's close to almost brake checking him in. This is dangerous. I know they have to keep to a certain time, but you've got to be very careful when going through corners like that, so you're not impeding the person behind you. I wouldn't be surprised if Geese has a bit of an issue with what's going on here. So we're waiting for green flag running, as we get it now as he goes around this corner. Didn't get any penalties, which is good. However, Reset Track is just going very wide around that corner. I don't know if he warmed his tyres up enough there, but him and Thomas de Kung are quite close to each other, as well as having Geese right behind him now. Obviously they'll all have DRS going down this straight. We've got Geist here using his overtake as well. He's probably going to be in rich film. He's backed out of it, I feel, already. You should not be weaving like that, guys. It's Formula 2 stuff, that is. Right, as we see Geist try it down the outside. That was just a bit. We've got ghosting on, luckily, so these guys won't be getting in the way, but they will get DRS from them. Very interesting. So, going on the outside of this turn. He's got to be careful because obviously Thomas is in front as well. But this is now, yeah, so as we see Geest go ahead of Reset to Track, we have now got a very interesting battle on our hands. We have the current championship leader in the middle, in the race in the mid-season, ahead, technically in third, with the pit stop still yet to come for some of the medium runners, being chased down by the second on the grid starter championship rival of Geest, only 9 points behind him. Now, one place is not going to make the difference that Geest needs it to in this race, but obviously you've got a very long season ahead, and it's important that these guys get as many points over their rivals as possible, because you just don't know who might come into the league and dive bomb you in the next race. As we see him go down here, he has lost a fair bit of time. He still has DRS luckily, but I think so does Thomas de Kung on the... I was going to say it's back marker, but it's not. This is actually technically for position because of the fact that Ferry hasn't pitted, but as we see him ease around, that just shows the amount of traction that these medium tyres have compared to the old mediums who are on 14 laps. But it is important to know that 14 laps they can do on these medium tyres. But yeah, the traction difference is amazing. But the great thing I want to point out there as well is Thomas's ability there to make the move happen and still keep enough room for Ferry, who was obviously on his inside there. The reason why I paused there for a second was obviously because of the fact that Geest had got another 3-second time penalty after I just said he wanted to not do that. But we'll soon see. So you see Top Gunner has still stayed out for another lap, but Edelman has gone into the pits. Going on to hards. Is he trying to make a one-stop work? If he is, that could be an amazing tactic, because it would technically mean after the next round of pit stops, if he can keep up the pace with Jesse, he would be ahead of him. We'll soon see. That could be a very interesting tactic. Anyway, he's in a very good position at the moment. He's still in 8th. It's a good amount of points on 9th because he's fighting alongside those three there. But Gernman is only 3/10 behind. So let's have a look at where he's came out. He's gone straight around the outside of Mark Paul there, who is obviously trying to catch him back up. He's had a bit of an incident because he did have a 3-second time penalty given to him in that corner as well. These guys are properly racing each other now. I think they're getting a bit too argy-bargy. He's going to try the dive bomb. He's not. He's good. That's good packing out of the dive bomb there. I think way too many players on this game would have gone for that. We're lucky, I think, in this league that we don't have people like that. So we see Gurman to make his way past on set of soft tyres of someone who's on a very old set of medium tyres. So Mark Paul is chasing back after Edelman. Edelman's, I honestly say, a good contender in this race. It could be a really interesting tactic to see if he can pull off the one-stop strategy. I think I had it in my notes that if you wanted to pull off a one-stop strategy, you had to pit onto hard tyres, as we see Top Gunner and Brian now pit, so that means Jesse's in the lead. This is now the actual standings for this race. Edelman's actually in 6th. If he pulls this off, this could be incredible. Yes, if he wanted to do a one-stop, he'd have to do a pit stop on lap 17. He's pitted 1 lap early by my reckoning, but we'll soon see. So at the moment, this here between Mark Paul and Gamer is the closest battle on the track at the moment. We will keep an eye out. Obviously the ones at the back of the field, as much as I'm back marking myself and I wish I got more coverage, we will keep an eye on these guys because it does matter more because it is in the points. So he's only 6/10 back, and we see there CRX Mars has had a massive incident. We're going to watch on with... Oh, he's retired into the pit lane. Okay. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be then. So, right. We're going to go back on board with these guys here. He's retired in the pit lane, so I think that means that realistically we should be completely fine. It's a shame because CRX Mars was looking fast. Obviously, he didn't manage to get as high as he probably would have wanted to, and it just hasn't worked out for him today. So, Mark Paul's fallen back from Eddie. We have Gamer, who's only 7/10 behind him, and we have Top Gunner, who's only 7/10 behind him. Gamer is not trying to get Slipstream through this. Has he not retired into the pits? He hasn't. Okay, that could be an interesting safety car moment if that happens. Anyway, yeah, Gamer and Top Gunner were not trying to get Slipstream there, but because of the way he was trying to avoid the Ferrari there, this has allowed Top Gunner to try and get past. We know he's fast. He got a podium last time out. Can he make a miraculous recovery halfway through this race? This could be interesting. He's now only obviously 7/10 behind his teammate, who's caught up a little bit to Ederman, who's obviously on a harder compound of tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if those tyres are just a little bit slower than the mediums at this point. However, the crossover point will happen soon, but Top Gunner is on a soft compound tyres. Will we see some tactics from these? I don't think we are. I was going to say, will we see some tactics from these teams now to make sure? Because if I was them, I'd go, right, Top Gunner, you go ahead. He probably will pass him here anyway. Top Gunner, you go ahead, because you're more likely to try and bring back Ederman there. He's only like a second or so ahead. And that puts him in the clutches of Mark Paul. But of course, is it fruitless? Because to these guys, obviously, Mark Paul has to pit again. So does Top Gunner. Can Ederman go all the way? I'm excited to see how he does here. Obviously, the battle out the front has kind of dissipated a little bit. Geese may catch up to his championship rival in third. He may not, we'll soon see. But the interesting thing, obviously, is seeing how this midfield battle, just as if it's normal F1, how the midfield battle ends up turning out, especially with these alternate strategies. Mark Paul has to go onto the softs, obviously, in the second stint, third stint technically, second pit stop. Whereas Top Gunner, he just can't get close enough, even with DRS going down here. He's only 4/10, but we'll soon see. Really, as long as you're within that sort of 3 to 4 tenths sort of difference between you and the car in front, you may be able to overtake. As we see Gernman pitting, he's probably going to go on to a set of mediums. He is. Yeah, he's maybe able to overtake Ederman down this straight. As we see, right, this is where it gets interesting. So Top Gunner's obviously overtaken, but for Ederman, this is still vitally important. He has jumped Gernman. The reason why that's important is because Gernman has now made his last stop. We believe Ederman can make it to the end of the race. If that is the case, Ederman has pulled off an almighty strategy call here to manage to jump all of the top runners, because Gernman was what, only, I'd say he's only 6 seconds off of Jesse, which would mean that if Jesse pitted again, Jesse would also come out behind them. It all depends on the penalties. I don't know how many penalties that Ederman's got. If he can hold out, if he can stay out, because they're obviously going on to soft tyres onto the last stint as well. And the difference between soft and hard is ridiculous. The difference between soft and old hards is even worse. If he can hold out and defend from Jesse, who we know is very quick, this could have been a master stroke from Ederman. We'll soon see. Top Gunner is very close to reset to track here, which has meant that Ederman's then caught up to him. So we'll ride on board with Top Gunner, who's obviously on softer tyres. Reset tracks on very old hard medium tyres now. We're going to have a look at penalties once this is over, and we've got absolutely zero. He's now up to 12%, but we've got nothing really left in the tank for his overtake button. He can't get back to him here because he hasn't got a DRS, so that's Top Gunner now 4th. Obviously that's currently 4th because they're all yet to pit. But anyway, we'll have a look at the penalties. So Ederman's got 9 seconds of penalties, and obviously Jesse, who I'd say is probably his main rival at this point. We don't know how much faster Jesse and the top guys are going to be. We don't know if Ederman's tyre is just going to suddenly drop off, as we know they do round here. But Jesse only has 3. That's a 6-second gap. He at least has to pull over Jesse in the final stint. I think that's too much. Let me know what you guys think, because honestly I don't think he can do that. I think that's a ridiculous amount of time to have to make up. As we see, I think Reset Track may be pitting this lap. He's just again lost absolutely all traction coming out of corners in this stint now, as he's on to lap 12 on his tyres. Edelman's obviously catching him up. Can he overtake him? He's not using his overtake. He's still got 50% of overtake there. That is a ridiculous amount at this time of the race, when everyone else is on like 0 or 1. Come on guys, keep it clean. Don't ruin your race here, Edelman. He's pushing him off the track there a little bit. I do have to admit that was Reset Track should have probably left him a little bit of room, but he's lost the place anyway. I don't think damage has been caused. There we go. Yeah, you see, Edelman there was well in his right to go there, and I think obviously Reset Track didn't really have a choice but to let him go there. He just didn't have the traction coming out of that corner. As we'll see him now, he's lost 0.6 in 2 corners here to Edelman, which might bring Mark Paul into it. The longer these guys stay out on old medium tyres, the more the more places they're going to lose. As we see another person retire into the pits, which means we now have 14 runners out on track. I think a couple of those are AIs though. So, as we're about to start lap 24, see how the standings are currently going. We've got a lot of second gaps between people. Gamer James is only 9/10 behind Mark Paul. We've got obviously German on a new fresh set of mediums. This is a difference between the mediums here, guys. Just as he puts his DRS on, he's already overtaken him. It means that German's going to have DRS then on Mark Paul as well, again on old mediums. Can German catch up to Edelman before everyone else has to pit? So I'd be interested now to see the difference between Gernman's times and Jesse's. Because I think Gernman's only chance of catching Jesse now is hoping that his tyres drop off and just loses a massive amount of time in order to try and get first. But net second still at the moment is not bad, as we see Mark Paul is right behind Reset Track, so it might be a bit of a battle as we've got here between 3 of these guys. I'd say 4, because Gamer James is right behind him, as much as he's got about 15 seconds of penalties. Gamer James is right behind German as he's catching to him. He does hold back a little bit. I think he knows better than to try and go there. As we see Mark Paul, Next Gen's really lost a lot of traction. He's just squirming out of all of these corners. He's gone wide into that one. He's got Gamer James gets another 3-second penalty. But these guys are really battling now. So let's see. Gernman's obviously 5/10 behind Mark Paul, who's 5/10 behind Reset Track. Can he catch up? He's not got enough at this stage, but can he get it into turn? I think it's turn 6, is it? No, turn 4 is another overtaking zone. At the end of this DRS straight, can he get him here? He's only 2/10 here. He's gonna go on the inside. Well, obviously, Reset Track goes very defensive as we watch him here. He's just pushing him out wide. No, he's got to concede. He tries to switcheroo. Got to concede the place there. I think that's probably the smart thing to do for Reset Track. Obviously, these guys are technically fighting for position on track. They are on the same, roughly the same length, age of tyre. As we see him squirming again through these S's. These guys are just going to be really struggling for downforce at this point and struggling for grip. So it's going to be so much easier for the likes of German just to catch up and coast up to the back of these guys and overtake them. As we see though, Mark Paul has just lost 3.9 seconds now on Edelman. I think Edelman is a genuine contender here. Not for first, but I'd say for top 5 as he currently is. As we see, German's pitted. He's retired from the session. What in the world happened there? So that is net second place, retiring from the session. This has gotten spicy, guys. This has gotten very spicy. Because now we have it that the 2 championship rivals are on the podium together. I know there's a 4-second gap here, but if one pits before the other, that 4 seconds can go very quickly. So we know Top Gunner's now attacking Geese. We'll follow this battle for now, as we think all the others have kind of, Yeah, they have subsidized a fair amount, so we'll follow this one now. We watch Top Gunner, he's got DRS on Geese. Can he get onto the podium for a second week in a row? He got his first podium last week. I said this guy was one to watch, and now he's he's about to mount an amazing charge, trying to get third place. As we know, he's got to pit again. I think it'll probably be pitting at the same time as these medium runners at the moment. They'll probably be pitting onto softs. He'll probably be going onto mediums, which may... Oh no, did he go mediums first? Steve. Well, anyway, doesn't matter. Top Gunner has now gotten past Geese. That is just the difference of the soft tyres. That was an amazing show of power there. And these cars are equal, remember, guys. So that is an incredible show of just pure traction and speed going down that straight. Can't wait to see that in real life this year, especially with the speed of these cars. So, Geese has now got some work to do to get back on the podium. So he's still only 5 tenths behind. He's not losing too much time at the moment. They both will be dropping their grip at the moment, just losing so much of their tyre. I don't think it will be long before these guys pit again. I have a feeling they're trying to eke it out and just try and get back onto softs for the last stint. As we see Jesse's gone out. He's still stayed in first. He's about to go around the last corner at the moment. Will he pit? He doesn't. So he's starting lap 27 now, on his 15th lap on those tyres. So I'm guessing the rest of these guys will follow suit. As we see, yeah, so Thomas is, I believe, oh no, he's gone very slow. So here we go, Thomas is now in the pits and so is Geese. He's reacting to the racing point. Right. This is where it gets interesting. So let's see where they come out compared to Edelman. They're going to come out behind, we know that. How far behind are they going to be? Thomas is... Oh, let's see. He's 9, 10 seconds behind. Obviously, Brian in the other racing point for this week has just behind him as well. He's also on hards. He might have leapfrogged them as well. Edelman is now onto the podium. What in the world is going to happen at the end of this race? We know that Jesse is currently 24 seconds ahead. Will he come out behind him? He's only 11 seconds ahead of Thomas. Can he catch him before the end of the race? This is going to be one hell of a finale for this race. Have we got any massive battles going on during the race at the moment? We've got Gamer, who is currently within a second of Mark Paul. However, he has got about 5-10 seconds more penalties than everyone else, so I doubt that will be one that we want to watch. We've got Geese, who's obviously... We'll watch this because he is gaining quite rapidly, and this may be something to watch out for with Edelman. He's getting very rapidly on someone who's on exactly the same tyres as Edelman. He's just going to be caught up in this section, and Brian's going to get DRS on these back markers. He's going to go wide. He's going to try and go around the outside before he even gets DRS. He's using all of his overtake. He's gotten ahead of him before he uses DRS. That was probably the best, and it's just best showing of just pure traction, and the difference between the tyres on this game is ridiculous when you've got soft tyres, very old hards. Now these guys are going to be trying to catch up to Edelman. We see that it's already gone down to 9.5 from Thomas to Edelman now, so who knows what might happen. Can he get 9 seconds before his tyres drop off in the next, what is it, 8 laps? I don't want to call it. I honestly think it's going to be too close to call as to whether Edelman is going to make it to the end of the race on those hards, and whether he's going to manage to make it onto the podium. Top Gunner is obviously still not pitting. He's 10 seconds ahead. He's 5 seconds ahead, should I say, of Edelman, who's 20 seconds behind the race leader. I think Jesse's probably going to come out ahead of Edelman now, but we'll soon see as Top Gunner pits. So there we go. We've now got the case of Edelman is now net second. He could be first if Jesse pits and goes behind him, but who knows. Geest has done the fastest lap of the race. He's catching up to Thomas de Konung. I do apologise. As I said, this is my first time commentating over these guys. I don't know how to pronounce all their names. I'm guessing they'll all rip me a new one in the Discord chat once we've finished here and say you've pronounced my name wrong, but I'll learn. I'll probably still do a bit of a crofty and still pronounce their name wrong for the next 2 years, but we'll soon see. So there's a 3-second gap between Geest and Thomas. I'm just going to call him Thomas. I should just call him Thomas. So between Geest and Thomas, there's a 3-second gap. Thomas is now 7 seconds, so in the lap he's gained 2 seconds on Edelman. As we now see Jesse pitting, this is going to be vital. Where is he going to come out? He's going into the pits now. As we see Edelman going into the stadium section, what is going to happen here? Jesse's starting to come out of the pits now. We don't want Edelman. Edelman, you've got to go now. You've got 67% of your battery left to use. He knows he's going to have to defend. Is he going to go ahead? Oh, they're both accelerating now. No, there we go. That is the end of that question. Jesse remains in the lead after his pit stop, but Edelman is now in definite net second. He's only 3 seconds behind. Use a bit of his ERS then on that straight, so we'll soon see how this goes. As we see, Thomas has now got him within 6 seconds, so 6.6 seconds of him. Geest is slowly but surely gaining on Thomas, and we see Brian is obviously now right behind Top Gunner. We'll see if these guys carry on like this. I think Top Gunner's probably got DRS, so obviously he's overtaken him there. But Brian's obviously on very old now hard tyres. There's only 7 laps left of the race, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys turn out. Everyone apart in the top 10 apart from Edelman and Brian are on hard compound tyres. I really want this to work for Edelman. I really want him to be able to finish either on the podium or just... Was that spot right? No, I don't think it was. Either on the podium or I'd say in the top 5. I think that'd be a massive achievement for him. We'll soon find out in the next 7 laps as we start lap 31 with Jesse and Edelman, and now we see if we can go ahead with Brian. Brian's now lost a lot of time to Top Gunner, but he's on a much older set of tyres. Top Gunner's done the fastest lap of the race as well. That'll also be why. That's a 1:16.0. Just to remind you guys, the fastest lap of the race in 2019 was a 1:19.2. So that means that they are going faster, as we suspected, than the 2019 cars. These 2020 cars are so much faster. They've got a lot more downforce naturally in the car, so that means they can turn up the engines a lot more. It'll be interesting to see how they do this year, whether they'll break any more records with less downforce, so we'll soon find out. So, what is happening throughout the track? We've got Reset Track overtaking his teammate. There's obviously no more pit stops now, so this is all for track position. It is a bit of a shame almost to see Reset Track down in 8th after such an amazing start that we had. The top 6 were separated by less than a second, obviously, each. But sadly, as we see Jesse go for a 1:14.8, as if he heard me say that a 1:19 was the fastest lap. That was ridiculously fast. Right, as we carry on. Yeah, it's a shame seeing Reset Track so far down now, but of course, it was still only 6th, that it was between 2nd and 6th that these guys were fighting, and obviously you've got the 2 hard compound runners now in the top 10 as well. So really, he's probably stayed in a very similar position than he was. He's also stayed, I'd say, a little bit too long out on a lot of his medium compound tyres that he started on, and his softs at the start, because he just lost so much time. Him and Geese, I'd say that was probably the reason why Geese is now behind Thomas and not on the podium. It's because they lost 2, 3, 4 seconds a lap to some of the guys who had pitted. We saw with Gernman, who obviously we don't know why he retired yet. I'm waiting to find that out. We saw with him that he got jumped because he jumped people because he pitted earlier. So we knew that they were working quite well. So, as we start lap 33, it's 4 laps to go. We've got Edelman still in 2nd place. We've got 3 seconds behind him, Thomas. He is going to be gaining on him so fast. But, what I'd say, guys, is the 7th lap on these tyres is where they really start to go. Obviously, they've got less fuel now. So they're hoping that as they've got less fuel, it means they're going to be wearing the tyres less. But they're still going to be slipping and sliding without a lot of grip. As we see him now, he's locking up still. He's going to be really probably graining his tyres quite quickly. Can he catch Edelman? Can he get those 3 seconds before the end of the race, before his tyres just completely drop off? Because those hards, I wouldn't say they're in any way good condition, but at the end of the race they're going to be in better condition than these softs are. I don't know. As we see Edelman get a 3-second time penalty, it's probably a good idea to check these. That was close. To check the penalties as we've got out. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't realise that. Edelman has 12 seconds of time penalties. Probably will say ahead of Geese, you say. But he's probably definitely going to lose this 2-second gap unless Thomas gets 6 seconds more penalties. Only 2 as well. 6 more corner cutting infringements. Don't know how many he's on at the moment, but 6 more corner cutting infringements in the next 3 laps. I think it's safe to say that Edelman is going to finish either 3rd or 4th. But with Top Gunner not having any, he's going to probably jump some of these guys. That will be pretty impressive. I don't know how the podium's going to look at the moment. All the guys who had time penalties are out of the race. From before the race, should say, are out of the race now. So it means that they're not in contention for anything. So their 10 and 5-second penalties are out of my mind. It's more these guys at the front who I care about. I'm going to go down to Mark Paul though, who's on 21 seconds of penalty. Saying that, that's quite a lot. Gamer James, 26 seconds of penalties. Wow, guys. That's a lot. But that's what happens if you're pushing these cars to the limits. You will go over. We see it in actual F1 quite a lot. They don't do it in the race, because they're probably a lot more conservative than these guys are, just because of safety reasons and fuel and everything. They manage their fuel a lot more than any gamer probably does. But they do it all the time in their qualifying. Where they can't. I mean, Alex Albon was king of it. Every single time it's a case of he is leaving us at the wire because of the fact that all of his other laps, as fast as they were, had track limit infringements on him. So we'll soon see. This is not unusual, I'd say, for people pushing cars to the limit. And as it's fairly regular across the board, apart from the 2 very inconsistent ones, as we see him getting a lot of traction. And this just shows the difference between these soft and the hard tyres. I mean, they're 8-lap old softs. They're going to be wearing quite a fair bit, as we see them have a bit of a wiggle. They're going to be wearing quite a lot, but those hards are going to be losing a lot of time now. So we're going to go back up to Thomas and Edelman. There must be rain forecast for right after the race, because this does not look pleasant out there. Anyway, so we're going on to the last lap in the next... I'm trying to think where everyone is. Yes, we are. So we're going on to the last lap now. So I think it's safe to say that Jesse's won the race, but we'll wait and see. He might have a massive incident like we've had in the qualifying. But Thomas is now literally a second behind Edelman. Can he get second on track? Can he get second on track? I cannot wait to see this. He's also got to make sure he's 6 seconds ahead of Top Gunner, otherwise Top Gunner's going to overtake him. This is going to be one hell of a... I don't know what's going to happen after the race. I think the race is going to finish and I'm still be wondering who's finishing where. So we'll wait and see. So Thomas is now within a second of Edelman, but he's just not got DRS now until the end of the second sector into corner 12. So into the second sector for the very last time. These guys are right on each other's tail. Obviously Thomas's tyres are going to feel a bit worn now, but Edelman's, I doubt he's going to be going on 50 pence piece. As you get DRS, he backs out of it, knowing it's just too much to risk, knowing he's going to have won the race. No, he's going to have come second, hopefully, if he can just stay clean into these last couple of corners. There we go. So we'll wait and see where everyone files out. Ederman goes second. He's now third. That's an amazing showing. I don't care whether he had 12 seconds of penalties. And there we go. Ederman is off the podium, but to be honest, I don't care. That showing, to be able to go from, I don't know where he started, but 20 laps on those hard tyres and finish fourth is crazy. We see that Geese is then behind him. That's a lot of points. He's again lost to Thomas, and again finishing fifth. Another 10 points. So that is a crazy coincidence. Thomas has finished second, and that's a great standing for him in the championship. The McLaren did quite well, obviously, up front. Jesse, that was an incredible race. He knew exactly how to hook his car up around this track. I do wish that he had a bit more battling to do, then I would have been able to watch him a bit more. But that was incredible. As we see the podium there, I think we've got the second and third places exactly the same as last week. Top Gunner, I have to hand it to him, did very well. Is that a whole Dutch? It is a whole Dutch podium. Top Gunner did very well to make sure that he didn't get any penalties there. And again, guys, the staying out of danger, keeping clean can be so fruitful on this game. So we'll wait until we see the full standings and we'll go through them with you, and then I'll log off. I do have to thank you again for everyone listening. There's a whole lot of Dutch people on this server. So we've got Jesse, Thomas, Top Gunner, Ederman, Geest, Brian B did a very good standing there for the other racing point. Reset to Track, Ferry, Mark Paul, Gamer James, Ben Nat, Shedner, and I think everyone else was then DNF'd. So, very good race, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been an amazing time, and I can't wait to, hopefully, if they'll let me back, commentate again.